session. You're welcome back to another session of Nsoba Kiganiiro. As you're aware, we've held these sessions since July. We tried to hold them on a weekly basis. Then we changed it to bi-weekly. And I speak now, we have again changed it to weekly because we got many requests from many people who would prefer to give presentations. So for now, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to hold weekly sessions. Due to public demand, we decided to bring in MTN. MTN is a hot item because of the IPO. So we could not miss that one out. We decided to allow MTN come and make a presentation. Today's presentation, we are going to have split it into two. One of the senior brokers in town, stock brokers, not land brokers, William Nyakatura, has already joined in. I know he's not an OB, but he's an OB of a similar school. If I'm not mistaken, it must be SMAC, right? William, you can confirm?
No, and unfortunately, you're wrong on both counts. I'm an OB of Shak, Chitovu, and then I went to another private school later on in my life. But thank you for having me, ladies and gentlemen. Like Dixon has said, the presentation is going to be split two-way, and you're going to get a two-way version of the company and then also an analyst looking at the company. And we hope the CPAs enjoy it.
Thank you, William. You will have more time to talk about yourself. That means truly I got it wrong. Someone sent me SMAC. So that means you replace the M with the H with an M. Either way, if I remember well, there are very few schools in Uganda. SMAC is one of them. And I mean Shak and SMAC, of course, and definitely Intari School. We used to know only two schools in Uganda, that was Intari School and Nyakasura School. The rest are either colleges, high schools, senior secondary schools, etc., etc. But no worries, we are adding you to that school. I see someone who has joined as MTN Uganda. I need to confirm if that is Ibrahim. Someone has joined as MTN Uganda. I need to be sure if that is Ibrahim. MTN Uganda, please confirm. Someone logged in as MTN Uganda. Okay, we'll give you time to
confirm. Yes, this is MTN Uganda. Ibrahim will be joining in a second.
Okay, thank you for that confirmation. Thank you for that confirmation. So now we can begin officially. We normally have a brief and tight program, beginning with a word of prayer. All of us are God-fearing, whether we're Christians or Muslims or Baha'i, at least we're all God-fearing. Then we normally give a member from the executive of Nsoba about 2 minutes to say something, and then we dive into the main presentations. So without wasting more of our time, I will ask our resident pastor. Oh, today is not online. It's okay. Still, I'll ask Bruce. No, Bruce is not able to join us. It's okay. I'll ask a colleague in the field, CPA Dennis Tuyamreva, to give us a brief opening prayer, and then we get moving. CPA Dennis?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm hearing what you are saying. Can we compose ourselves in prayer in a second? Hello?
Yes, please.
Are you hearing me?
We can hear you, Dennis.
Yeah, let's compose ourselves in prayer. Lord our Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for all our professions and sharing knowledge as all the students of Ntare School. We now give you this time that whatever is going to be discussed related to this business of MTN becomes fruitful to everybody, and it gives your name. Thank you very much. Lord bless everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, CPA
Hello?
Dennis. Thank you, Dennis.
You are most welcome.
Okay, so we proceed. I'm
You
going to
are
request.
most welcome.
I'm going to request Senior Mark Mbaire to give us some opening remarks up to around 2 minutes. Senior Mark. Mark Mbaire. Mark is not able to connect. Internet issues. MTN Uganda, you're listening, and I'll ask Senior Johnson Namanya to give us opening remarks, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Good evening, everyone. This is one of those. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, we want to welcome the MTN team, and we look forward to sharing and hearing from you. We take this discussion serious because they shape and help in terms of investments and how to shape the future. Some of us are almost on floor 5, so we take every discussion serious. And without wasting a lot of time, you're very welcome, members, those who have joined us, and we look forward to engaging with you. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Afande Johnson. We'll request all members to keep their microphones muted. I wouldn't love to do it the harsh way whereby I mute everyone by default. And we're going to get started. William, do you wish to start before Senyonga joins in?
I'd like to do the introduction.
Okay. So William, like I had tried to introduce you, William is of course not our OB, but you know, we have had sessions where we host experts in their fields, not necessarily their OBs. And we were giving him the opportunity to take us through the MTN IPO and also introduce the other presenters from MTN Uganda. So William, you have the floor. You can take it on from there.
Thank you, Dixon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, but more so gentlemen. We thank you very much for extending an invitation to Kinsman, but also extending an invitation to MTN itself. With me today is the business enterprise manager, Mr. Ibrahim Senyonga, and he's going to do a presentation about the company, and I will do a presentation about the numbers. Once I'm done with the numbers, he will come back again and give more flesh to that presentation of the numbers that I will have spoken about. At that point, we will then go into the Q&A. Once we're finished with the Q&A, we will then finalize with how to buy these shares. I'm thankful for MTN for making it easy. That will be a walk in the park. We expect very tough questions, but we also expect to educate you and also de-risk the transaction for you. And without further ado, I extend the invitation to Mr. Senyonga Ibrahim to discuss his company, MTN Uganda.
Good evening, members. It's very exciting for me to be here today. Special recognition goes to our visitors here. I've been invited. I see other members on call. I think members from Tare, and then see La Familia. So it's pretty exciting for me to be with you. So to share insights about the MTN IPO. William, can you share the presentation from your side?
Are you asking I share my presentation, or do I share the MTN presentation?
MTN presentation.
Give me a minute. While you're talking to them, let me pull it up.
Okay. So it's MTN has been in Uganda since 1998. And over the years, we've seen a lot of exciting fast things for MTN. It has been massive from a technology perspective. I'll be sharing with you that in detail. We've also seen a lot of opportunities that have come through, but they couldn't have materialized without the support of our customers. And I'll take this opportunity to also thank all MTN customers, or whoever has an MTN line, MTN clients. Thank you very much. I'll take you deep into what we've done together. Going forward. You can share.
My dear, sorry, Ibrahim. The presentation I have here is the Kinsman presentation. Is it possible to get Brian to boost the one you have, the one for the roadshow? I do not have it with me. Or let's swap it a bit. Let me talk about the numbers while Brian is also bringing up that presentation, so that we maximize the time. Is that fine with you, Ibrahim?
Okay, yes, you can do that.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a little bit of a swap. I'm going to touch on some areas on the numbers, and then that way Mr. Ibrahim, who hasn't even seen my presentation, will come naturally from a neutral point of view to give you flow of the company. So without further ado, the presentation that we hold here is I'm sharing my screen. Just give me a minute.
You've shared your email.
I'm having a little bit of technical issues. Just give me a minute as I figure my way around.
It happens.
Oh, gosh. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So while
Yes, we can see the screen.
Yes, while Mr. Ibrahim gets his house in order, this is going to be, I think, a beautiful thing for you to get an original point of view. So I am going to give you from, let's say, an analyst's point of view, looking at MTN, the facts behind the figures. When it comes to the noticeable features, let me leave Mr. Ibrahim Senyonga to explain to you where exactly who MTN is. I don't want to steal his thunder. So this will come, he will come back and flesh it out. He will talk about the number of clients. He will talk about the products. He will talk about MTN mobile money. He will also talk about the renewal of the license. In this presentation, I just highlighted them, but in his presentation, he has great color in and of itself. And I'm assuming I'm talking to Ugandans, so they will, while you're looking at this, you will be familiar with what MTN provides. It provides data, it provides voice, it provides digital services, it provides mobile money, it also sells handsets, and the department that Mr. Senyonga heads is the enterprise business that provides internet to government and to homes. That is fairly new. Again, he's also going to talk about the strategy of where growth is going to come from. So allow me to leave that to him, and he will give you great color there. I will also talk about the risks of the market, but he will also talk about the risks of the company. But right off the bat, I'd like to talk about the numbers. What you see before you is where revenues are coming from MTN. And quickly you can tell that the network services, which I believe is voice, has contributed greatly to the revenues that the company has had. It's up, as of 2020, that figure has gone up to 1.2 trillion shillings in and of itself, coming from the 800 billion mark in 2016. Mr. Senyonga is also going to explain to you where he sees growth, and it's really going to come from the one that is green, which is data and mobile money. Mobile money, of course, in itself has very many vast products, and hence you can see why that particular item is going to grow. He will also explain to you where he sees the tails of the economy or population driving this usage even further. So again, I do not want to take from his presentation, but I want you to look at this and realize that MTN on all across its products is growing from 2016 to 2020. And even 2021, which I don't have mapped, the company seemingly is firing on all cylinders. And keep in mind, 2020 was a challenging year for many businesses and for many individuals. MTN is what I would call anti-fragile. It seems to get harder, it seems to get better, even in tough times. Again, Mr. Senyonga is going to talk to you about where the shares are coming from. If you, at a quick glance, it is going to be MTN International, the second middle, 21 billion shares that are going to be reduced in order to give you the 4.4, which is the one in green. In the end, it's going to be MTN International that will become the entity that scales down to allow us to come in at the 20%. I've dollarized for you the figure. In my world, when you enter into hundreds of billions, I get lost. I'd prefer to put certain items in dollars. Please look at the farthest end, which calls the end all be all. This is the game where Mr. Senyonga and his team need to drive growth in order to pay out a dividend. It is this dividend trend that is going to attract investors to come and buy into MTN. You can clearly see year on year that has been the case. We see no reason why that should fail. If it should have failed in 2020, it should have failed in 2021. Mr. Senyonga is going to come and show you why in 2021, they seem to even be more robust. Here, I want to show you the income statement in a quick glance. So you have the blue line showing the revenues of the company, and you can clearly see that MTN's revenues are growing. The blue line is growing. But notice that the light blue line, what we call the gross profit, that is money less of cost of sales. In their cost of sales, they have fees that or cost obligations they pay to their key suppliers, American Towers, Ericsson, and any other entity that helps them provide their service. MTN seems to keep a larger share of that money. And you can see that the blue line chases the dark blue line in tandem. That means that they are doing everything to keep their costs manageable in order to capture as much value in profit margins, a conversation the CPA people will be familiar with. But also notice that their EBIT, EBIT is earnings before interest and tax, is also a growing line. And as their revenues grow, it seems that their EBIT is growing, which then tells you that their costs of operation are tightly managed from an outside point of view. So their cost of sales are tightly managed, and so are their operational costs. Naturally then leaving you with a green line growing, which is the PAT, profit after tax. That is may not be as straight and or as big as the revenue, but what we can clearly see that particular line is growing. And it's from that green line that the dividends are going to be drawn from and paid for. Again, I'll leave Mr. Senyonga to talk to you about the policy, the dividend policy going forward. Let's talk about the balance sheet of this particular company. One of the things you will notice is that their current assets are growing but maybe not at a fast rate as their fixed assets. One of the things that you will notice about MTN is that they are fairly liquid. But what makes their fixed assets seemingly grow are their intangible assets. Mr. Tenyonga is going to explain to you about the license that they got from the government and what that meant for them. That license is what we call an intangible asset. The other aspect of another intangible asset is the brand MTN. That in also one way is what has increased their fixed assets. But what is key is that the green line that you see that we're scoring over the years is total equity. This is what would be your money year on year as a shareholder in the company. Is the company's total equity growing? I hope you can clearly see that MTN over the years, that line has steepened to a sharp end. And you could probably find that it's either the economy or it's either the general trends of global Internet of Things, or maybe even still voice that is driving this particular number. And MTN is not leaving this to chance, and hence that steep rise is what you're chasing and what is leading to this particular figures that you see here. Finally, I'm going to now talk about the ratios at a quick rate. When you look at the ratios of MTN, let's talk about the liquidity. Here we're looking at the cost to income ratios or the market ratios. For all the revenue that they're making, are their costs rising? You want to see that line dropping. And you can clearly see that the green line is dropping, the gray line is dropping, the second gray line is dropping, which clearly goes to tell you that revenues are growing faster than the costs, or that they manage their costs ever so tightly. And hence that we feel that MTN does an exceedingly good job at how to manage the money that is in its custody. The other is their fixed assets. If you come to their fixed asset ratios, you will see that their fixed asset turnover, that figure has reduced. But the reason why that has reduced again will be naturally because of the intangible asset that they had to pay for. And if you are a patient customer, you will see that this figure will start to go back up as you amortize the cost for that NTO license that Mr. Senyonga is really going to explain to you. So as an analyst, I can clearly see that their asset ratios could do better. But then again, it also takes into account some of these licenses that also come out of the blue, and you have to actually pay for them, which then means that your balance sheet is weighed down for a period of time. And hence that's why we're a little neutral on that particular stance. But what we're looking at is also their asset mix. Below you can see assets to equity ratio. You can see that that figure is declining, which gives you a sense that the CFO seemingly balances the debt to equity ratio. Some of the assets that MTN owns is funded by debt, and some of that assets is funded by equity, which I believe is a nice mix. You do not want a CFO who is always using your equity to fund the expansion of the company, because then that means he would pay you no dividends. Finally, we come also to the profitability ratios. This one I like, and I tend to feel that MTN shines here in many marks. When it comes to, again, the gross profit margins, what we told you, revenue takeaway costs. Gosh, again, when you look at those costs, you can clearly see that MTN gets better and better and is at the 80% percentile for those gross profit margins. But take a look at the profit margins, which is the revenue figure versus the PAT versus revenue. And you can clearly see MTN has moved from 7, 11, 14, 16, and 17, which gives you the sense that it has room to absorb shocks in its pricing, or it's seemingly pricing its products well enough to have a healthy margin. And that's why I believe MTN is an exceedingly good company. To find companies in 10% and above is extremely rare. To have someone in the 17 and up on is a really good thing to have, and usually happens to tech companies or telecom companies. MTN is no different. I leave you to look at the rest. One of the things you will notice, their earnings per share is increasing year on year, which is positive. And then we can also come to their cash flows or the cash flow margins. I'll be happy to share this presentation with the association. But I want to draw attention to their free cash flow number. In 2016, it was negative 287, and then it got positive and keeps rising. Again, free cash flow is the net operations from cash subtract capex. After they have bought all the capex that they need, what remains as a balance? It is that very money that is a balance that is used to paying out the true dividend. This is where the game is truly played if you are looking for a dividend. And I'm proud to say that MTN seems to do a good job at growing its free cash flow in and of itself. The other ratios, asset efficiency ratios, are healthy. Again, 2020 seems subdued because of the new asset that was placed on it, the intangible asset. But that figure should rise going back forward after 2021 into the future. We can talk about the debt. Here in the debt interest coverage ratio, MTN seems to have a healthy interest coverage ratio. I would have naturally preferred it to be way above 8. That's the gray line. But what you need to also take into this consideration is that balance, that can you afford the debt on your balance sheet? And it seems MTN has taken the responsibility to not just use its own equity, but also borrow from banks. And we all know how that sends ripple effects into banks borrowing from them having to create jobs in the banking sector. It's a ripple effect, and MTN seems to take this quite seriously. Their debt to equity ratio is fine. We can clearly see that that particular ratio starts to rise in 2019, going down to 2020 and 2021. The reason is that their equity is rising now because of the retained earnings. The dance between how much do they keep and how much do they retain, do they pay out as shareholders. Finally, we come to the reason why we think that the pricing was not bad. I think we've had so much news that the pricing 200 shillings, some people have said it's expensive, but keep in mind you're dealing with a tech company or an IT company. Its PE is 13.9. The stock market is already at 8.9, and the reason why it's down is naturally because of possibly COVID and all the other aspects. But when you look at what we call the enterprise EBITDA, the fact that 5.6 is below 10 is a positive sign that the pricing is not too cheap, but also not too expensive. They've cracked a fair balance in and of itself. So I'd like to give the floor back to my esteemed colleague of MTN, Mr. Senyonga. Are you ready?
Thank you very much, William. Let me share my presentation, then we can as well start and delve deeper into
MTN.
Yeah. Are we able to see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yes, please. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take you through a deep dive of MTN in detail, and then, Uganda is home. I'll take this opportunity to thank basically everyone on this call for accepting and honoring, to be with us. We can't take it for granted. MTN has been in Uganda for the past 20 years.
Can we request to see you also, presenter? Because William was graceful was seeing the person we are talking to. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Hold on, let's check something small here.
I believe you first have to come off. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
There you
No
are.
issues. I think you can see my handsome face, huh?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, then.
Thank you.
My name is Ibrahim Senyonga. I'm the General Manager, MTN Business. I'm happy to be with you today. I'll start by taking you through the history of MTN. It has been a very exciting history. MTN has been in Uganda for the past 23 years. And we launched GSM services in 1998. That was the time we democratized as MTN owning a phone. I think most of you recall that by then, it was very expensive to own a phone. Then you'd get the Siemens and then the Motorola's and very huge phones, I think as big as this sanitizer bottle. Very expensively, 3 millions. And so when MTN came into space, we saw democratization, enabling Ugandans to own a phone, then improving connectivity. 2005, we launched 3G that improved connectivity in Uganda for ordinary Ugandans, and were able to achieve our first 1 million client mark. And 2009, MTN was the first to launch mobile money in Uganda. Then 2014, it was the first operator in East Africa to launch the LTE 4G services that challenged, the status quo and improved connectivity. Then that saw us move to 2016, where MTN achieved its 10 million subscribers for the first time, and then we were awarded Digital Brand of the Year, Best Financial Services, and then Best Mobile App in 2016. 2020, MTN had a couple of trials for 5G. And then was actually the first operator in East Africa to run the 5G. And then 2021, we achieved our 15 million customers, basically in this year. MTN has also been awarded the most admired brand for its contribution to the pandemic by Brand Africa. And also to note, in 2020, MTN was issued a 12-year license, NGO license by UCC. I'll delve deeper into that in the next couple of slides. So then I'll take you through our journey, exciting journey over the years, over the 23 years. Okay. Next phase is looking at the industry. Currently, MTN is a leading it's leading in the market share in the telecom industry. So where we were in 2018, we had 11.3 million clients. We grew by about 12.9, that's close to 13%, basically, to 15.7 million clients. And I would think I would need to put this into perspective. Currently, Uganda has a total of 20 million adult Ugandans, 20 million adult Ugandans. Now, out of these 20 million, 15.7 are MTN clients. That's massive. And I say it again. Uganda currently has 20 million adults. And out of the 20 million, 15.7 are MTN clients. And then in terms of data, we've seen a 46% growth, average growth year on year. 2018, we had the 2.2 million clients using our data services. Then we saw a leap to 5.3 million in 2020. Looking at this area, this space, we foresee a lot of opportunities. This is where the future is in terms of data. I will delve deeper into the actions, the strategies that we have in play to ensure that there's growth in this area. Then Momo for users, mobile money. In 2018, we had 6.3 million customers, and were able to grow by 16.4 by 2021. That is up to 9.4 million. So looking at mobile money, I think we've all seen banks have been in Uganda for over 100 years, but currently mobile money has more customers or more accounts than bank accounts. So what we do have here, and there was a couple of sentiments flying all over social media. Mobile money is not part of MTN Uganda. That is not true. That is not true. So mobile money is 100% owned. Mobile money is 100% owned by MTN Uganda. So if you buy a share into MTN Uganda, you're buying a part of mobile money. I'll delve deeper into the mobile money issue. Last year, there was a law that was passed by the government through Parliament that required, and I'll give you insights into that, that required mobile money to be supervised by Bank of Uganda. So they required each mobile network operator to separate mobile money business from the telco. So mobile money and the telco. So a mobile money company was registered. That mobile money company is 100% owned by the telco, MTN Uganda. So if you buy shares into MTN Uganda, you're buying part of the business of mobile money. You become a shareholder there. So we shall move to the next slide. This one gives us a picture of the revenues that we've seen over the years. We've had steady growth in both revenue and profitability, with indications of further growth post the pandemic. We've seen 2018 MTN made 1.5 trillion in revenue, and that grew by 11%. We expect this year to close at about 2 trillion. This is massive. I think if you look at the so many companies we have in Uganda, very few, I don't think there is any that has ever delivered this kind of position. So it's massive. When you look at PAT, profit after tax, average growth rate of 23% year on year. 2018 saw us delivering a 220 billion, and then 2021 we are projecting to close at 375 billion. So this has been normalized. We've had to pay 50 billion to UCC for a transitional license for the period we were in negotiation with UCC before we acquired the license. So we had to pay an extra. So, and then in terms of PAT, we see 2021 a closure. We expect to close at 18.3%. So that is also massive. All this is in spite of the challenges that we've been faced. We've faced as due to COVID. We've seen people losing their lives. We've seen challenges in business, the economy, and the rest. But despite all that, we've seen MTN growing, delivering double-digit figures, which is very exciting and would be for the next for the shareholders. Okay. This is a video that need to play. So that, okay. We shall move to the next slide. What does our future hold? What do we expect to deliver MTN to the next level? Any potential shareholder would be interested in delving deeper in understanding the key driving factors that would propel MTN to the next level. Ideally, the next slide gives us a view of where we are in terms of opportunities. We see strong growth in adult population, unlike most countries. Currently, I mentioned that we have, as a country, 20 million adults. Now, the expectations is that by 2032, we shall have 32 million adults in Uganda. These are children already born. The trend has been every year we see 1 million Ugandans turning 18. So 1 million Ugandans turning 18, that means they need voice, they need data, they need mobile money. So they need a SIM card, they need to transfer money from one place to another. They also need to make those calls. So we also looking at the economists tell us that the economy is expected to grow at about 5.8 to 6% between there, which is a good opportunity for us. Would be very important as we drive the future. That means Ugandans are in a favorable environment. There is no better, place to be for MTN as of any other country as it is in Uganda, based on those statistics that we've shared. Now, the other key driver for MTN, and when we talk about data, we mean business as MTN. We have a robust plan in this space. We're driving affordability of smartphones. Smartphones are key driver of data consumption. So starting with the partnerships with the likes of Nsoba, the likes of Techno, creating device financing, opportunities for our customers. So that enables customers or enables potential, clients, Ugandans, to acquire smartphones. If you have a smartphone, it is almost difficult for you to spend 3 hours without sending a WhatsApp message, without, using Twitter. So whenever a client uses any of those services, we as MTN are making revenue. Then we're looking at creating data offers that work for everyone. We've heard about bundles that don't expire. That is an opportunity for Ugandans. It is an opportunity, very exciting, for every Ugandan. We're the first to do that. Then during COVID, we saw opportunities rising out of home connectivity. So MTN, as we speak, every year has been investing. Last year, we built about 400 sites. This year, we are looking at 450. Then going into next year, we're looking at 500 sites. This is massive capital injections. We expect that in the next 3 years, MTN International will be injecting $1 trillion Uganda shillings. That's about $300 million US into infrastructure to enable Ugandans get access to modern connectivity. At MTN, we believe everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected world. So with this, I'll give also insights on what is happening in, with our neighbors in Kenya. We've seen Safaricom building a base of fiber to the home, about 250,000 connections. So that is an opportunity for us in Uganda. We launched the product in March, and between March and now we have about 3,000 customers connected onto fiber. So we are looking to expand this area beyond the 2,000 because the opportunities, the homes are massively many, and the clients that need to utilize this. So we think data will be a key driver for the future of MTN. Then I would also take that opportunity to give you insights on the fiber footprint. Currently, we have fiber border to border. We have 5,500 kilometers of fiber border to border. So that positions every Ugandan that is near a fiber, a fiber connection, an opportunity to acquire reliable internet connection. Previously we had the fiber was a privilege of the bigger players, the banks, the manufacturers, the ministries and government. Now we've democratized it. We've created solutions that are suitable for the ordinary Ugandan to deliver what they need. Now, looking at digitizing local and international infotainment, we've also built content that would be able to enable Ugandans, to keep using data from MTN. Okay. The other key growth area that we see is mobile money. Or traditionally, we've had most of our friends, even ourselves, we send money from one point to another. I mean, if you want to send money from, let's say, Kampala, you're sending to a relative in Abim, in Amorata, in Kabong, in Kitugum, in Kotido. So in just seconds, somebody is able to achieve, to receive that money, then they withdraw. So that is the current state of things. It's money from one point to another. Now we want to transition from that space and move into the next space where Momo it is first becoming a mainstream mode of payment, where, for example, you go to a supermarket to buy milk or bread, and then the supermarket, you use mobile money to buy the bread. Then the supermarket owner uses mobile money to pay salaries for his staff. Then the staff they use mobile money to buy fuel. So keeping the money within the ecosystem without removing it. If you've been to Nairobi, you will see that Safaricom has done with Lipa na Pesa. So we want to do that. But in spite of that, we've seen a 126 year-on-year growth on Momo Pay. We've seen 123% year-on-year growth on Mocash. I think many Ugandans are able to access, they are able to access loans of Mocash. They are able to save using mobile money. They are able to transfer money. So it's pretty exciting. Then we are also looking at remittances, fast moving. This largely looks at transfer of money outside Uganda. So there's that massive movement, and we've seen that growing to about $2 billion US. So there's massive opportunities in mobile money. When we talk about mobile money, we are talking, this is big on agenda. It's thick on our strategy, and we think we shall be able to use this to drive MTN to the next level. Currently, mobile money delivers 25.4%. Delivers 25.4% of our revenue. 50% of our revenue comes from voice. So, however, we see a future in this area. So it's an area we want to accelerate into as MTN. Now, this could never have happened without a very strong team, a leadership team. This is the exco that we have, and this constitutes about 15, general managers, chiefs. I'm one of these, I think, somewhere. So you will be able to see my face. So our CEO, we have 2.5 expatriates, including our CEO who prefers to call himself half Ugandan. I call him Ugandan. And then we have 50% of this team that is homegrown with the institutional knowledge. Some of them have been with us for over 20 years. We've also had our staff moving outside. Our CFO was in Congo Brazzaville. The acting CEO of Mobile Money was in South Africa. So there is a huge opportunity. There is a huge opportunity in this space for us in terms of from the assets. But as we speak, we have 10 Ugandans working as expatriates outside MTN Uganda. They work as expatriates in other countries, and those stand to benefit. So we've looked at a team of 1,000 staff supporting the senior management team. We have, out of them, we have 520 full-time employees of MTN Uganda supporting. So, and I think last week, earlier this week, between Forbes magazine chose MTN as the best employer the best employer for 2021. That is massive. So MTN is always challenging the status quo, not only at the local stage, not only at the African stage, not only at the European stage, but at the world stage. So that is what we are looking at. Now, this gives us a flavor of our regulatory environment. The key regulator here being UCC and Bank of Uganda. Those are our key main regulators. And then UCC was issued us with the National Telecommunication Operator License. That was done on the 1st of July 2020 for 12 years. It will be due for renewal on the 30th June 2032. Bank of Uganda also gave us 2 licenses, one for payment systems operator class A, that is to run the system, and then payment service provider license A, that is to provide the mobile money service. So these 2 are for mobile money, okay? And these are indefinite. Now, to give you an insight into the detail that I've just shared, we paid a total of $100 million as MTN. MTN paid a total of $100 million to UCC for the new license. That is $370 billion for the new license for 12 years. Then again, MTN paid a total of $50 billion. That is 14 million US dollars for the transitional period. So looking at that, we were able to be assured to get spectrum. That is 900 megahertz for 2G and 3G, 1800 megahertz for 2G and 4G, 21 megahertz for 3G, and 26 megahertz for the 4G bands to enable MTN provide services to all those customers that we have. So those are some of the areas that I needed to highlight. Moving on to the next slide, this gives us a picture of MTN from another perspective. We have what it takes, a Pan-African leadership. MTN Uganda is part of MTN Group. MTN Group has presence in 21 countries. Out of those, we have presence in countries in the Middle East, like Iran, Afghanistan, and then Africa in other countries like Ghana and Nigeria, Ivory Coast, so many other countries where we have presence. So this gives us an opportunity as MTN to leverage, advantages of negotiating contracts with some of the high big players, ZTE, Huawei. You negotiate for fiber and get them at considerably low prices. If you looked at our numbers in detail, you'll be seeing, you'll note that the cost of sales has been going down steadily year in, year out. It's because of opportunities, taking advantages of scale. So we also have leverage innovation, from the group perspective. I'll be taking you through, Ambition 2025, a bit of it, a flavor of that. Ambition 2025 shows where we would wish to see, where we want to take Ugandans in terms of connectivity, connections at home, connections at business, connections from a consumer perspective. We want to expand, give the best, because we believe Ugandans deserve the benefits of a modern connected world. So we are well positioned to deliver that, leveraging the group. And then I talked about talent. We have staff that have moved outside Uganda, so we benefit from that, from talent exchange from country to country. So that has positioned MTN very, very well. Then we leverage the brand. You see, MTN brand is known across Africa as one of the giants, not only a giant in Uganda, it's a giant in many of the countries. It's a giant, it's an African giant, multinational. So it's a big brand. So we leverage that to grow our company to grow MTN to the next level. Then I gave you insights about Ambition 2025. I won't go further into that. Then we move into the core of this engagement here today. We are opening doors to Ugandans to buy shares for the future, to buy shares in MTN. Then I'll tell you the what, the how, and the why in the next couple of slides. Now, MTN Uganda current shareholding totals at 22.5 billion. MTN Uganda current shareholding totals 22.5 billion. Out of these, MTN International owns 96% of this. Then Mr. Charles Mbide, 4%. That 4% is equivalent to about 900 million shares for Mr. Charles Mbide. So MTN International is selling 20% of its shares, and they have put 4.5 billion ordinary shares to the public. For every one share, 200 shillings. A share costs 200 shillings. The minimum number of shares any Ugandan can buy is 500. Now, with just 100,000, you can be moved from being only a consumer, a client of MTN, to being a shareholder. That is massive. Being a shareholder in one of the biggest companies in Uganda, the biggest in Uganda. So Ugandan individuals can apply for shares through the MIPO platform, by dialing *165 *65# or visiting my MTN app. Now, for every Ugandan, once you buy 100 shares, for every 100 shares you buy, you get 5 bonus shares. For every 100 shares you buy, you get 5 extra shares, okay? Bonus shares. Now, there is extra to this. If you are actually an MTN client and you use mobile money to buy MTN shares, for every 100 shares you buy, you get a 5 extra. So that makes the bonus shares 10 if you've used mobile money, MIPO. Because MTN has democratized buying shares as of today. And the next phase will also be democratization of selling of shares. So at the comfort of your home, you can be able to apply and buy shares from MTN, okay? From the comfort of your home. And the detail, my colleague William will be taking you through. Then in case of an oversubscription, the share allotment policy kicks in. Ugandan individual investors are given first priority. Ugandan individual investors. So we move before we move to the next slide, I'll clearly repeat that. MTN has ensured that these shares are affordable because, 200 shillings cannot buy you a Rolex. It can't. But 200 shillings can buy you ownership in a big company. But not only for you, you can also buy for your children. A share worth 100,000 today, by the time your child gets to 18, it could be another transition. There's something you would be teaching your child, okay? So there's accessibility. It's an attractive investment. There are advantages to this. You being an ordinary Ugandan, you take priority. So why are we doing this? Why are we selling? Why is MTN selling? It is our regulatory obligation. I saw some social media, messages rolling around. MTN wants to leave, MTN, blah, blah, blah. ideally, and I want to make this very clear, MTN International is selling 20% of its shares, 20% of its shares, okay? And it is regulator driven to sell, okay? That was part of the license, part of the requirements of the license that MTN got in 2020. Not only MTN, but even others that have this NTO license will have to list. So, but we are not doing this because we have to. We are doing this because we as MTN, we want to. We want to. And that is why I'm holding this meeting, to ensure that I bring the facts to the table for everyone to see, and then you can make a decision. And the same thing, we have several meetings. I think next week, I'll be, a couple of my colleagues will be in the West, others will be in Mbarara. We are going to move across the country. We've been on TV explaining the insights, giving insights about this IPO, the first green IPO in Uganda. Now, the other is, currently MTN has only two shareholders. It has MTN International owning 96%. Then Mr. Charles Mbide, 4%. So we think that gives us a weaker foundation. We want to move, invite more ordinary Ugandans to own shares, to build a stronger foundation. But also it's important to note that MTN International is also injecting more money into the business, okay? Is injecting 1 trillion, that is $300 million into this business. That is a fact. And they've been injecting on average over $100 million into the infrastructure to improve connectivity, to improve service experience for our clients. So, but there are some risks. We've talked about so many nice things about MTN, but there are risks that may impact MTN delivering the best, or delivering revenues, at the rate that I've shared. But because MTN is well managed, has the best resources, top management, and the staff, we always select the best. These risks that you see, they are frameworks, they are policies, they are processes, they are we have first line of defense, second line of defense, third line of defense, all inbuilt to manage these risks. They are teams that are employed to look at these risks on a daily, monthly, discuss them, then review them, come up with mitigating controls to ensure they don't materialize. For example, changes in macroeconomic conditions, we see that as a risk as MTN. For example, who thought would have Corona and it would have that much impact? At the world stage, it impacted everyone, it impacted MTN. So our revenues went down a little bit. But it also created opportunities. Now, because children were at home, I think some of us left home, you left your children with homework to do, to discuss with their teachers, and digitally. They're using their iPads and iPhones and all these tools that you bought, largely because there is a change. There is a paradigm shift in the way things are done, the way the education is being run because of COVID. So whenever we have such a challenge, we come up with mitigants. Major changes in tax. We see there could be major changes in tax. In the past, we had OTT. OTT came and impacted data. Okay, data revenues for a while, but we are way past that now. We had the mobile money tax. I think you all saw it. We saw, prepared for it, had engagements with all stakeholders. All these taxes, we had engagements with government and discussed, requested, they're impacting our customers, and eventually all these have been handled, largely because we try to, as much as possible, prepare for all these risks. We could have major network outages or poor quality service leading to possible regulatory fines. So what we do when it comes to regulators, first and foremost, it's compliance. We ensure we comply. Then the future changes in laws and policies, the NTO, we've had their SIM registration. We don't know. They could be laws that would be passed at one point that would impact us. So what we do from an MTN perspective is to continuously keep engaging the stakeholders, and we drive the future in a better way. So MTN Uganda, MIPO platform, I think William would be able to give you a bit of insights. I told you about how to apply. The starting point is for you to go to *165#, okay, if you're using USSD. *165#, and then, *165*65#. Then you apply for USSD, yeah, for SCD account. SCD account, after that, you can also move to the next level, use the same MIPO, you buy, you put in your application for MTN shares. So that is, I think that will be, William, that will be it from my side for now. William?
Thank you, Ibrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to do my whole presentation. In fact, I am going to leave the media of TV, social media to explain to you the process. But again, we would like you to remember that MTN has made it possible for you to open up an account using your smartphone or your analog phone. We also have made it possible for you to buy shares using the internet, and the internet link is going to come on. So without further ado, I would like to open the floor to Dixon and to anyone else who has questions. And we will leave you our contacts and numbers, but let's address the questions as they come. Back to you, Dixon.
Thank you, William and Ibrahim. What we're going to do, we have like 20 minutes. We're going to ask those who have questions to follow the normal process. You raise your hand, unmute, and then we, maybe in 1 2 minutes, you present your question. Dennis, CPA Dennis.
Oh, thank you very much. I want first of all thank the presenter for the wonderful presentation. My question is related to what he talked about. I am kind of given what happened to Safaricom that there will be oversubscription of the shares. He told us that the individuals will be considered. I'd like to know, will they ensure that the individuals will get their 100% of what they are trying to purchase, or there is a likelihood of giving a certain percentage like Safaricom, which was a challenge?
Okay, Dennis, thanks for that question. Next is we'll have like five questions at a go. Next is I don't see anyone raising his hand, so I'll read the other questions which are on the chat side. Someone was asking, what's Mcash? What's Mcash? You talked of mobile cash, Momo, and then later you talked of something like Mcash. Then two, that are you running, or are you still running 5G, or it was only for, this is for Ibrahim, or it was only for testing purposes? Then three, which is similar to that, are there still areas which are on 3G and 2G? Because somewhere you mentioned that you have spectrum something for 2G, for 3G. So are there still areas which are on 2G and 3G, or everyone is on 4G? Then the next question is that kindly, this is for William, kindly break down the amount earned at 100,000 going by your current profitability run rate. In short, going by the current profitability rate or the profit you've made, if I had injected in 100,000, how much would I take home? Let's say up to June 2021 or up to December 2020. Then the next question is, okay, let me get back to those who have raised their hands. Joshua Mutambi.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator, and I want to thank the presenter. The presenter talked about the risks. In the unlikely event that the risks outweigh the advantages, and therefore, as shareholders, what are the mitigation measures that are put in place to assure us that we will not lose our resources? Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. I will be part of that answer. Business and investment, you cannot avoid risks. So if losses come in, it's okay to be part of the losses, but we'll get a clear response from MTN and William. Dr. Alan?
No, I actually put down my hand later because my question was related to the first question you picked. I wanted him, first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. I wanted him to demonstrate assuming someone bought, and you mentioned it well. Let's assume we use the minimum. And can he just demonstrate what someone would earn given the possibly last year's earnings by MTN or the current standing in terms of profits they have made, just to give us a clear picture. If someone injected, say 1 million shillings, because we want to buy, I can assure you all of us in Uganda would want to buy in the hope that we are going to, get a share of the dividends. We are not much interested in the risks, yet we know that actually the risks may outweigh the benefits. So if you can demonstrate just using an example, such that it gives us a clear understanding of what someone will earn, assuming you inject in 100,000. Over.
Thank you, Doctor. William Kambona.
Yeah, thank you, Dixon, and thank you, namesake Nyakatura and the MTN General Manager for the explanation. Mine is a clarification. I know, according to mobile money rules, you cannot buy worth more than 5 million of shares using mobile money, for example. So it means that, for example, there will be a possibility if a person wants to buy more than 5 million worth of shares, to buy more than once. So you find yourself buying shares today, buying shares tomorrow. And there's also a possibility that the person can buy the shares in different tranches using different SCDs. Now, when it comes to consolidation, will it be considered as one applicant or as several applicants? Just a clarification on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, William. The last one is asking about, is there a limit on the maximum number of shares one can buy? Maybe we first attend to this, then we'll have a second. Okay, one more from CPA Dennis, one more, and then we'll attend to those.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. My question also, which I forgot to ask, sorry for coming second time, was about if using the mobile money and all the digital, if I buy whatever we consolidated on one certificate, eventually from the pairs, we can set up capital gains. So those transactions, what will be that when I want to this present that I own.
Okay, thank you. Back to William and Ibrahim. can take us through.
Dixon, would you kindly just rephrase the last question? Either my bandwidth wasn't good, I did not get the question he asked.
Yeah, it is similar to what William had asked about those who are going to buy several times. If today I buy for 100, tomorrow 100, the other day 100, do they get consolidated into one certificate, or what happens? Or if I'm using two registered phones or numbers, and I'm buying many times, or I also buy without using a mobile, do they get consolidated into one certificate? What happens?
Thank you. I've got that question really well. Let me give the floor first to Mr. Ibrahim to answer the questions that are in his purview. And if he needs any assistance, I'll support him. And then I'll take the ones in relation to the stockbroker. Ibrahim, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, William. There are questions. There was a question around 3G, 2G. And then there was a question about more cash. I'll start with the one of more cash. I think this slide gives us a picture. More cash is, I think they are those that have been able to borrow money using mobile money, mobile money. You're buying something, you're in a supermarket and you're short of money, then you're able to withdraw, to request there is a more cash loan. You're able to get a short-term loan for 30 days, and you're able to close your financial gap. You bridge your financial gap. So that is available to every Ugandan. If you have not used it before, you can just, press *165#, then you'll see that coming through. There is that product that MTN offers. And that is growing at 123% year on year. And we've seen it, we see a lot of opportunity. We partnered with the with the bank, NCBA Bank, and that has been growing strong. Then the other question was around, are there areas that still use 3G and 2G? Yes, there are areas, there are customers that use 2G phones. I think you've seen, and that is why I was saying that the smartphone penetration is way below 60% in Uganda, which is a worry. So that means so many of the clients use the older type of phones that are not smart, these 2G phones, okay? So, and they cut across. So to support those types of phones, we have to use, to have some 2G sites to support those customers, especially in the villages. And that is why we are availing loans to some of them to get smartphone. They can get a smartphone and then they pay slowly for 6 months. And that has happened through, some, I think one of the areas that I shared was the partnerships we have with the likes of, let me show you, that was, okay. The likes of Mkopa, Techno, yeah? We also have Kabode, Pay Mpola, such products. So the likes of Mkopa, they bring in funds, then we are able to give our customers, they pay in installments. There was another question, can the risks outweigh the advantages? The risks, I think everything in life is risky. If you ask me, even even life itself, even you being alive is risky because you're not going to get out of this life alive. I'm very sure all of us will die to a certain point. So largely, risk is risk. There's risk everywhere. Risk. It is even risk for me. I'm currently at Africana. I've been at Africana meeting, investors from morning up to this point. Investors. It's a Saturday. It's 7:30. It's risky for me to come out of this place It's risky. I don't know who I'm going to find. There's curfew. It's risky. Anything can happen. But the most important thing is for you to gain out of this, you have to think beyond. And that is why I talked about the staff of MTN that have consistently delivered. The past may not guarantee future performance, but it will give you a picture of what to expect. Okay, and then don't get, I saw a question that looked like somebody wants to inject and then they expect, returns tomorrow. This doesn't work that way. You need to look at it from a longer term perspective, okay? It should be able to grow. I think, William, you should be able to take them through probably an insight on what happened on the Safaricom side, what happened over the period. I think that is very important to give an insight and a view of what this is all about, okay? It's not part of, I'm going to put in today, then tomorrow I'm getting 2 shilling, I'm going to complain about this. No. You have to think big. You have to think big, because I've also shared the one who owns, who is going to own 76% is adding extra capital into his business. So as a shareholder, you're going to have an opportunity to be part of the AGM. So you'll be part of the decision-making arm, the core, the pinnacle of the decision, because as a shareholder, you recruit the board members who recruit the senior management. Then the senior management recruit the staff that manage the company. So you're going to be part of that decision-making arm. Your voice will be heard. Your issues will be listened to. Then the other one I got was, is there a limit on the maximum number of shares one can buy? No limit. Then in terms of per day, the limit per day is 5 million. So that means you can buy 5 million today, tomorrow 5 million, next day 5 million, until if you want to buy for maybe a million or so. So yeah, MIPO. So, but if you go through the USC portal, you can buy for as much as you want. So, but if you go through the USC portal, you may miss out on the 5 bonus shares. Okay, but if you get 5 and miss out on the 5, if you use MIPO, you get 10 bonus shares for every 100 you buy. So that is what I can say. I don't know, William, if you can pick up on any other questions that could have missed.
So I have, and I'll take them. Could you allow me to share my screen?
Okay.
Yeah. So while he is looking at it, let me give the example of Safaricom. And this is one I recall very vividly in 2008 when Safaricom had that IPO at a price of 5 Kenyan shillings. And when it listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the stock went down to 3 Kenyan shillings, and it stayed there for, I believe, eight months. In that 8 months, some people decided to sell. I remember I could not go to certain parties here in Kampala because some people had decided to exit their positions. However, there were other people who decided to actually buy because they believed that the fundamentals of the company were solid and in time they would be validated. Strangely, they truly were validated because if you check the internet, Safaricom is at 42%. At 42%, that means the stock has gone up 740% in the last 13 years. If you take your time to divide that 740% by 12 or by 13 years, that means the stock grew year on year at around 57%. So the patient people and those who even bought when the stock went down were validated by the performance of the company and the scaling of the company, that MTN is also trying to show you that we are in a similar sector, we are efficient. In time, you will see those benefits coming. I like the fact that Mr. Senyoga talked about the investor bringing another $300 million. Did you say, Mr. $300 million?
$300 million, yes.
They're not asking you to fork it, but they're going to fork it in next year. And you will gain from that what we call capitalization of that return on capital. something that I tracked on my presentation, and I find very key, whether it be debt, whether it be equity, are they getting a bang of that? So that's something that you should also take into consideration. Let me now speak to the questions of trading. Allow me to share the allocation policy. There. And okay, so the question to oversubscription. In the event that there's an oversubscription, and you can see it to your far right, we will first allocate to the people who have asked up to 1 million shares, meaning that anyone who buys through their telephone or anyone who is a Ugandan and local and has bought up to 5 million worth of shares will be guaranteed those shares. Anything above that 5 million will then get into what we call a pro rata in relation to the category of where they fall. Are they Ugandan locals? Are they Ugandan institutional companies like NSSF or pension funds? Are they East Africans? Are they regional East African pension funds, professional funds, or are they foreigners or foreign institutions? When we mean pro rata, we tend to then go and give everyone 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3 in relation to their category. And if those shares have been already finished in relation to the amount of money that we have received, that means we have had an oversubscription, to which then there is a refund. The refund policy states that MTN will have the money paid back to the people that provide, to the bank account or to the telephone that transferred the money. I repeat this, MTN or the stock exchange will not pay money to a third party, but will pay money only to the telephone whose Momo account sent the money in the first place, because we will have captured that detail when you were buying, when you were sending money for the application. Again, if you're buying shares off the Easy Portal model, you'll be asked to provide your bank details. We encourage you and ask you to make sure you use your own details. The Easy Portal is also broad enough to allow for individuals, joint clubs, joint couples, or if you want to buy for minors, the ability to also buy for your shares for your minors. Even MIPO on your phone, if you click, instead of buy for myself, there's an option for other. If you follow that prompt after *16565#, you will then be given the opportunity to buy shares for up to 5 minors or five children. And in the event that something does happen to you, it is possible for those accounts to be transferred to whoever becomes the estate manager. Like when any asset is transferred, you tend to always get a letter from the Attorney General that you are now the manager of one particular estate. You also need to give a birth certificate that that individual has died. All that information needs to be provided to the licensed brokers that you will select. Again, we're setting on the, and you're going to see it in the ad where they keep telling you on TV, select a broker. We urge you to select the one that will give you assistance and service whenever you have need. In the event that you're looking for help, you'll find it there. Then there is a question that I think is burning. What is the return for the dividends if I buy shares worth 100 shillings, 100,000? Let's use that example. Let's assume you use the minimum amount of 100,000 shillings. You will then, you need to keep in mind that you will be given 500 shares, but you will also be given 10 bonus shares for every 100, meaning you will get 550 shares. Now, let us look at 2021, the earnings per share. If we divide the profit after tax of MTN by the number of shares, the earnings of one share is 14.37. Of that 14.37, MTN paid out a dividend of 6.38. Hence, 14, they paid out 6, the balance stayed in the company as retained earnings. It's that 6.38 that we now need to pull and multiply by the number of shares that you have. So if you multiply the 550 times 6.38, you will get a dividend of 3,756. Again, I repeat that. For the 500 shares, 550, you will get a dividend of 3,756. You will have expensed 100,000, you will have gotten a dividend of 3,756. Keep in mind This is from the company performance. What you have not taken into consideration is the capital gain that will come from MTN being able to give you a better earnings per share. Remember, I said the earnings per share is at 14. If next year they hit their desired target, it won't be 14. It will probably be 15 or 16. It's at that point your earnings grow. We would like you to consider selling your shares at a premium when you go into the secondary market. If the buyer on the other side doesn't feel like paying you a premium, be patient. Let MTN expound your ability to command a better price by being a good investor. Then in time, like how Safaricom has validated those who are patient, you will be able to gain. But you can notice that with 100,000 shillings or 550 shares, the impact is little. So we hope that you are going to start the culture of buying shares, not just at the IPO, but also in the secondary market going forward. So that 10 years down the road, the MTN that you had is not the same, but also the MTN number of shares that you have is not the same down the road. There is a question about using different SED accounts to apply. The beauty about SED accounts, even before becoming digital, is that we required our clients to open up with national IDs. Your NIN number is so unique that if you try again if you attempt to try and open up an account when you already gave the exchange your NIN number, it will not permit it. It will ask you to then go back to the broker to then help you with that particular purchase. In the event that the broker that you probably use did not use your NIN number to open up your SED account, it is likely that you'll be able to open up an account on your phone using your NIN number because we never captured it. Remember, your NIN number becomes the primary key, and that primary key then stops the ability for multiple accounts being opened under that same name. But also that same primary key, your ID, allows us to pick the number of times you keep buying shares. If you buy 500 today, 5 million today, 5 million tomorrow, 5 million the next day, it's your same ID that actually will help us marry all those number of applications into one name. Hence, when allocation comes, we will treat all your multiple applications as one under your national ID itself. Yes, I believe I've answered more the questions in regards to trading. I yield the floor back to Mr. Ibrahim or Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, William. Maybe a correction here. The birth certificate is not for the person who has died, but for the person who has been
Death
born.
certificate. Yes, my apologies. It's a death certificate that we must carry.
It's all right. I think Ibrahim had covered all the questions. Someone here is commenting that most likely you left out something to do with withholding tax on the dividends. Yes, it was left out, but it's a very small percentage of 3,000. So,
yes, the dividend withholding tax is 10% or 15% for foreigners, but 10%.
Okay, someone is reminding Ibrahim that he didn't talk about the 5G. Do we have it here, or it was just for testing purposes? Then we can have the final round of questions if they are there. Just we can have like 3 to 5. Guys, whoever has a question, just raise your hand and then we will allow you to ask your question, because I don't see any other question on the chat side.
Okay, as we organize for other questions, I think we can respond at 5G. 5G, we had a test for 5G. We have started preparations, capital injections into the network, budgeted for this in the next couple of years. We should be able to see 5G, but it also comes with spectrum from the regulator that we are looking to get. We are preparing to get in discussions. When we do, then we should be able to push the bar higher. But we tested, and all the tests were very successful. So we think there is an opportunity there. Then there were no mention was made. Okay, I think that's the same question.
Yeah, that's the same question. I hope the 5G which you tested is not responsible for COVID. Please don't answer that one. Don't answer that one.
Okay.
Okay, someone is saying that I think this is for William, that are we locked in with a single broker? I think William talked about the many brokers, but we can answer that are we locked in with a single broker? And I don't seem to get that. Maybe you can list the number of brokers who are into this IPO.
Yeah, Ibrahim, Ibrahim, would you share the last page of your presentation? It has the list of all the brokers. If you could just put it out. But to answer your question, please walk to a brokerage firm that is able to assist you. There are 6 brokerage firms. I have partnered with SBG Securities to help them in this education of this presentation. In the end, the quality of a broker is his ability to be accessible and then be able to assist you when a need rises. Don't forget that, because that is going to be key when you go to the secondary market. So there are 6 licensed brokers in the market. SBG Securities is among them. They are an arm of Stanbic Bank, but there is also Crested Stocks, Equity Stock Brokers, UAP, Bank of Baroda, and Dan Blair. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for displaying that. Back to you.
Okay. There's also a question concerning 100K worth of shares is definitely not worth it. There is no limit. This is the minimum that you can buy. You can buy for 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. There's no limit to the number of shares you can apply for right now. Then there's, for this to make sense, one needs quite a big chunk of money. You don't need a big chunk of money. You need to start.
Let me give an example. Allow me to give an example. Where I used to work, there used to be a very young man who was always consistent. Almost like every 2 weeks, he would come and buy Umeme shares or Stanbic shares, or if not BAT. Now, this is a real example because it also happened to me. I bought BAT in 2008 at 300 shillings per share. It had dropped from its IPO price of 1,000, and my cousin and I bought because we're from Hoima and we just wanted to support tobacco. Surprisingly, in 2012, I remember the investor came back from London wanting to buy a lot of BAT, which is the current home of MTN, MTN Uganda's office. And the gentleman was willing to buy shares from anyone at almost any price. And the person who held the largest shares, other than that gentleman who was always buying every time, I'm telling you, Sudil owned the largest stake. Of the 10% that was floating, Sudil owned 8%. And I remember being in the meeting room with this gentleman from the UK, asking him, what is it that you see that I don't see? And so Sudil had made sure that the price had moved from 2,000 shillings to 3,000 shillings even before the conversation could begin. And I remember Sudil writing to him that when you get back to London, give me a real price. They discussed in between in their emails negotiating, and when the price got heated, they knocked me out of the email. Then they put me back when they had already decided that the price be bought, I believe it was 5,000 shillings per share, or 5,700 or 6,000, it was around that range. And I remember telling Manuel, the gentleman from UK, that is so much, you know, but it was Sudil's prerogative to push the price wherever he wanted, provided the gentleman Manuel from the UK would pay for it. And we did. We bought all the 8% at around 6,000 shillings. But I remember there was some gentleman who refused to sell to me or to us. And I went visiting every brokerage firm for a period of 2 years, asking them to sell to me because I had the buyer's account. And at one point, it became a game of whatever price you ask for, I'll buy. We took that price from 8,000 to 30,000, the current price that it is today, because the willing buyer deemed value that way. So and again, if I ask the same young gentleman, I remember we went to him and I asked him, please, can you sell? I believe his value had come to 200 million Ugandan shillings. To this day, I know he still owns these particular shares, but I remember his consistency. The shares may seem few, inconsistent, but we used to call it the bad habit of buying shares. If you can acquire this bad habit of buying something of value, time will validate you if the company also validates you in its appreciation of PAT, profit after tax.
Thank you, William. There's another question here I think for Ibrahim, that if it wasn't for UCC or government requirements, would you have floated your shares on the stock exchange? Meaning, are you doing it to enable us have a profit have a share of the profits you make as MTN, or you're doing it because it's a government requirement?
Please say that again.
If it wasn't for UCC requirement, would you have still floated your shares on the stock exchange? Are you doing it because you want us to have a share of your profits, or you're doing it simply because it's a requirement?
I said MTN has sold some shares in other countries, but not all of them as yet. So it is in the spirit of localization. UCC required us to sell 20% of our shares, okay, as MTN. So, and that's exactly what we are doing, but because it also resonates with the, the opportunity for us to enable Ugandans to be part of this giant, because MTN is a giant, both in Uganda and internationally. So that is the opportunity here. That is the state here. The fact is, all mobile network operators will have to sell 20% of their part of the company. Okay.
Thank you. I guess we don't have any other question from our members, meaning all their questions have been addressed. Today's attendance surely was on the lower side. I don't know why. All I know is that there's no football. We've been oscillating between 80 and 100, at times 70. I don't know what could have happened today, maybe because of the bad weather. So I'm going to allow William and Ibrahim 2-3 minutes to make their closing remarks. And then we'll also have closing remarks from one of our members whom I will mention later. So William and Ibrahim, you can give
Okay, I'll start off from my side. If you forget everything, don't forget the 5 key drivers I've talked about. One, for MTN growth, we are looking at data. We are looking at mobile money. We are looking at the population growth. We're looking at the GDP. That's massive. And then you have to take cognizant of the historical performance of this company. So thank you very much.
On my side, and I thank Mr. Ibrahim for joining us on this call impromptu. But on my side is that please remember that you can actually buy shares using your Momo account, your analog phone, dialing *16565#, and you can either go to the brokerage firms that you can see here, go to MTN service centers, or go to a Stanbic Bank branch. We've done all that we can to democratize the access of buying and selling shares. We look forward to seeing you as shareholders. We look forward to seeing you gain your wealth over a period of time. Thank you very much, Dixon. We give it back to you.
Thank you, William. Milton Tuyaguma, can you please close our session? Milton Tuyaguma, can you please close our session? Thank you.
Thanks so much. I've been listening in enough. I was reaching my K, and I am thankful to the presenters. They have been pretty clear that anybody who wants to invest do not make any mistake. After 1 year, if you have 1 million, this is what you get. And all the questions probably have been answered. And I also thank all the participants, because today I think the attendance was a little bit on the low side compared to usual, but I guess there was a lot functions. I not see from one. So, but we understand it very well. And we all know that we shall be able to invest to some extent, and we invest wisely because we are informed and we have all the data. So my job is just to thank and see how we can close this. And I guess the closing remarks is that I'm thankful to everyone who has participated in this and whatever they have told us. I'm satisfied, and I was very inquisitive about it. That's why I entered very, very early. At 6 sharp, I was already in. Thanks so much, and thanks everybody.
Thank you, William. Thank you, Milton, and thank you, Ibrahim. For clarification and confirmation, among the licensed brokers, I see Crested Stocks. We've had 2 sessions with Crested Stocks Limited. They took us through 2 sessions where we handled investments in government securities, treasury bills, and treasury bonds. They were very, very exciting sessions. And I'm excited to see that they are among the listed brokers for the MTN IPO. OBs, next week we'll proceed with our sessions. We're going to have one of our senior OBs is called Daniel Babonereiro, who is going to handle financial literacy and the other details in there. And definitely he will not run away from the MTN IPO, because that's one of the ways through which I think you can gain financial independence, blah, 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 as after investing in MTN, the MTN shares. Otherwise, thanks all for attending the sessions. We hope to meet next week. That's 30th, same time, same everything. People are asking for where to get recordings. We normally share the recordings every Sunday at around 1, between 1 and 2. We upload it on YouTube. We share it on our various WhatsApp platforms. And just in case you want it sent to you individually, you can still contact me, and I send it to you either on WhatsApp or on email. Thank you. I think we can close the official session now. I don't think, normally we close the official session and then we give around 5 minutes to talk about other things. So for William and Ibrahim, have a nice evening. For us, we are still here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. So guys, Ashman, what were you saying? You want the recording? Okay, William is asking for the presentation. We'll share it. Normally we share it at around 1 every Sunday on both YouTube and the WhatsApp.
Dixon, I meant, I know Sunday usually share the recording. I was talking about their particular presentations. Yeah.
Oh, their presentations. Oh, all right.
Those are the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, we shall share them.
Okay.
We'll share them. We'll share them.
No, we are just.
Bob is asking for Daniel. Okay, fine, I'll share it. Daniel, guys, today's attendance was on the lower side, yet there's no football. How do we improve this?
It is literal. We have to eat it. Hey, you are on studying something?
What do you mean there's no